Hello, WIC family. Welcome to our very first WIC cooking class. I am your host and your instructor, Chef Danica Stevenson. You guys can call me Chef Danny. A little bit about myself. I am originally from Akron. I started cooking at the early age of 4 in my great-grandmother's kitchen. And I've been working in kitchens throughout the South and in Ohio. I have done over 200 cooking classes throughout the city, and I have 24 partnerships, including WIC. And also, I've been on Fox 8 doing live cooking demos. And next year, I'll be doing more cooking demos and the possibility of having a cooking school and doing cooking programs for a national television network. So a lot of exciting things coming on. To learn more about me, you can go to Facebook and Instagram, Sip Savor Soul, for more information. Now, enough about me. I know you guys are ready to eat. So I'm sure the reason why you came to the class today is because, one, you love the recipes that we're going to cook today, or two, you might be a little bit curious about what these recipes are and how to prepare them. So today's the day. It's not by accident that you guys are here. We're going to make not one, but two recipes today. We have a savory recipe called our sauteed Brussels, and we have a sweet one for those that have a sweet tooth like myself. We're doing an apple oat skillet. And so if you guys are ready, let's begin. Okay, so first of all, we're going to do the Brussels recipe. Let me tell you a little bit about our Brussels here. I'm sure you guys have picked up your Brussels card. Make sure if you didn't get one, tell people about it. So the recipe is on here. It's called pan roasted Brussels. A cool thing before we start about Brussels. Brussels actually comes from Belgium. Okay, so Belgium is a big country in Europe. And the capital of Belgium, guess what it is? It's Brussels. Brussels is the capital of Belgium. So it started then. And so it actually started way back in the 1200s when Brussels were born. And the cool thing about it is that it really did not come to the United States until the 1800s. And it came to Louisiana and California, and then it just grew throughout the other states. Now, I will say this. I was told that in 2008, Brussels sprouts were the most hated vegetable in America. Hated. But by tonight, once we do our pan roasted vegetables, it'll be the most beloved vegetable in Akron. Okay? So you guys are joining along with me, and I hope you guys had a chance to get all your ingredients from the store. And before we cook, I'm just going to go over the ingredients with you just to make sure, to check off, make sure that you have everything to make our pan roasted Brussels. The first thing is the star, which is Brussels sprouts. I'm going to make sure you guys have that. You have your olive oil, your seasoning, your salt and pepper. We also have butter. We have a lemon. We have onion, and we have garlic. All right. So let's go ahead and begin. Just want to make sure you have everything. And guess what? If you do not, that is okay. I want you to watch and follow along. Obviously, you were curious about the recipes. Curiosity turns into confidence in the kitchen. Remember that. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start our Brussels recipe. Now, I've already cut up some Brussels here, but I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate to you guys how to cut Brussels. Now, Brussels are, they look like little cabbages. I know a lot of people don't like them. I think they're a little scared, maybe a little intimidated about what these really are and what they really taste like. But what we're doing right now is you're going to cut these, and there's a certain way you cut your Brussels. Obviously you see some leaves here. The bottom is actually the stem. And what you want to do right now is go ahead and cut the stem off. Now, different Brussels comes in different shapes here. So I have some pretty large ones here, and I have a small one here. So depending on how you cut it, it's depending on the size. Now, regarding the leaf, before we cut it, you might want to just peel off the leaf. If you see some yellow parts in there, you can peel it off. If you see maybe a little dirt, of course, you're going to peel it off. And for this particular one right here, I usually just cut it right in half. Now, for these that are a little bit larger, again, you're going to cut the bottom, cut the stem, and you just peel off some of the leaves. Now, there's nothing wrong with the leaf, okay? The leaf is just as delicious as I would say, the base of the Brussels. The leaves are just as edible as everything else. With this one, that's pretty big. I'm going to cut it in four. So I cut this in half. I'm going to cut it in half again to make fourths of it. And do that with the other one here. So again, you never want to eat the stem here. It's really bitter and it's very raw, so you don't want to eat that. And you're just going to peel off some of the leaves. Now, you don't want to peel off all the leaves, just like when you're making cabbage. We're not going to peel off the leaves. Well, with the cabbage, let me take that back. With cabbage, you definitely peel off all the leaves to make cabbage, but for the Brussels, you do not want to peel off all the leaves. So again, I'm just going to cut the stem. And if the leaf looks good, just go ahead and cut it. Cut it in half. This one's a little big, so I'm going to cut it in half again. And cut it in half again. Okay, same thing. This one's a little small. Just going to cut it in half. So again, it just depends on the size of the Brussels. Some are bigger than others. You can have it, cut it in half, or you can cut it in fourths. Either one. So I'm going to cut these last three here. And again, the leaf is fine. The leaf is edible. So the leaf is actually really delicious. Brussels sprouts are packed with a lot of nutrients, such as there's a lot of fiber in it. It's vitamin A and vitamin C, vitamin K. And again, with fiber, which is good for digestion. All right, so I have actually cut out all my Brussels. Now it's time to add some seasoning and flavor. Now the garlic. Now there's a difference between a bulb and a clove. I made the mistake one time in a recipe called for 2 cloves of garlic, and I put 2 bulbs of garlic in it. Okay, did not taste well. I tried to eat it, it didn't taste well. So anyway, this is a bulb of garlic, and usually a bulb has about 8 or 9 little cloves in it. And to actually break the bulb into cloves, the most easy way to do it is just lay your garlic bulb down and take your palm and you just press like might. And then there you go. It opens up and it breaks up into little cloves here. Okay. So I actually had some already that I've broken up, and I actually have 3 cloves, not bulbs. And so what I'm going to do here is just I'm going to cut them in little pieces. Now I'm going to try to mince it. Mince means tiny. So I'm going to just chop it up really tiny here because I don't want any big pieces of garlic. It's really packed with flavor. Garlic is one of those things that it doesn't really take a lot to make a big difference in your dish. Now, if you don't have garlic, let's say you have garlic salt or garlic powder. I have those things too. That is quite all right, okay? It still brings out the same flavor, okay? So I have a little bit of that. I'm gonna stick it in here, stick it in my Brussels. Okay. And now the next thing is onion. Now I brought 2 different types of onion. This is a white onion. This is a green onion, known as a scallion. They're both onion flavored. Now, it says onion. Now, some people like to use the scallion or the green onion, and some just like to use a regular white onion, and that's quite all right. For this dish, I'm going to use just the white onion, and I'm going to go ahead and pull off the skin for this. Again, if you don't have an onion, and you have onion powder or onion salt, it's quite all right. And it says just a thinly, you just want to slice it thinly. So that's what I'm just going to do. Just real thin. Now, if you want to mince it, you can. When I talk about taste, it's about 2 things. It's about your palate and your preference. So I always tell people, You know, there's no certain way of cutting or the flavor when it comes to flavor. You know, your flavor profile is your flavor profile. Everybody has their own flavor profile. So when it comes to this, for example, this onion, you know, if you like a lot of onion, go ahead and put it in there. Um, if you don't like a lot of onion or you just prefer like the salt and powder, go ahead and do that. If you want this chopped up like I'm doing right now, go ahead and do it. Again, it's your preference. And I'm just doing this for presentation as well. Okay. Some onion in there. Okay. And it calls for some seasoning. So I have some salt and pepper here because seasoning is very important. You want to bring out the flavor. Now, if you have other seasoning, a lot of people like spice. I always say it's okay to have a little spice in your life. If you want some spice in there, you could add some other flavors. Like cumin is a really great one. Thyme, seasoning salts. You can add other seasonings in there. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and coat this real quick with extra virgin olive oil. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and put some olive oil in my cast iron skillet. Remember I said earlier that it's, you know, cooking started in my great grandmother's kitchen. This is actually my great grandmother's cast iron skillet. I kept it. So we're going to go ahead and turn on my skillet here, my induction burner. We're going to get this hot. Now, if you're participating with me, you can go ahead and go to your stove and go ahead and turn on your stove and go ahead and get that fire going or get that heat going. So what I'm going to do right now, we're going to get this going here with the cast iron skillet. And if you have questions, you guys, go ahead and put your questions in the chat because after we complete this recipe, we're going to answer your questions. So I'm going to go ahead and mix this up. I added the Brussels, I had some onion. And I have my garlic and my olive oil. Now I have this big cast iron skillet here. I might need to put a little bit more olive oil in it. Now, depending on your skillet, you might need to put a little more olive oil in it, okay, because we don't want it dry. We want to make sure we coat the pan with olive oil completely. So we just want to make sure that, you know, you have enough olive oil in your pan, okay? All right. Now also too, I do have butter. Now you're like, why butter? Butter brings out the flavor in everything, okay? I like that buttery, rich, robust flavor. So it does call for like a teaspoon of butter. I'm gonna go ahead and put that in there. Trust me, you will thank me for the butter. You're gonna thank me for it. Hope you guys can see this here. Pan is hot. All right, go ahead. Put the Brussels in. See, the pan was ready for the Brussels. And I'm just gonna stir. All right. While that's cooking, I'm gonna add some more seasoning to it. Salt and pepper. Again, if you have other seasonings that you want to try in your Brussels, please go right ahead and do that. Again, I want you to be creative in the kitchen when it comes to flavors. So don't be afraid to add different flavors in your Brussels here. Okay. Now with that butter, what it's doing is it's browning the Brussels sprouts. And that's what we want. Now I'm making a big pan here. So, you know, I started off with a tablespoon of olive oil and a teaspoon of butter. So as I see this, there's a lot of Brussels in here. And I do not want to cook out my olive oil. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another tablespoon of olive oil. Olive oil is good for you. There's nothing wrong with olive oil. It's a healthy oil. Okay. So while that's cooking, I know you saw the lemon over here, and you're wondering, what's the lemon for? Lemon brings out the freshness in your vegetables. It makes it more bright. It brings out the flavor in your, again, it brings out the flavor in your vegetables. It smells pretty good. What do you guys think? For those that are cooking out there, any comments right now? Oh, we got a good shot of this. This is really good. And what I'm going to do too, I'm going to add another tablespoon of butter. Again, I love butter. And this is unsalted butter. The reason why it's unsalted is because you've already added seasoning already in your Brussels. So you don't need to add that additional, you don't need salted butter, okay, because you're adding all these other seasonings. So you don't want to over season your dish. But you will taste that buttery flavor in these Brussels. And as far as cooking time, so probably 8 to 10 minutes tops. Now, I like mine with a little firmness. I like al dente, which means it's in between firmness and a little bit of softness. Now, if you want to cook these all the way down, you can. If you don't like them a little bit firm, and you just want complete softness, you can. You just keep cooking these down. But for me, I just like it. Any questions so far?
We did have someone ask about where they could get this recipe. Lily, she's going to be emailing it out to everybody who's on the meeting.
Now I have this green, the scallion here. This is another green onion. Now, if you want, usually a lot of people like to use green onion as a topping or like a garnish. So you can definitely do that. I just cut off, I call this Taylor. It's like wild here. That's how I call it. And you're just gonna cut that off. And you're gonna just cut the onion. That's if you like extra onion. I do. I like onion. So I'm gonna put this in here. Usually for this onion, they're delicate. These scallions, you actually just, like I said, it's a garnish. It's like the last thing you put on your dish. So when you're finished, you just put it on the top. Because these little onions, they cook real fast. I feel like they're a little sensitive. Yeah, I like mine a little brown. I love it. All right. Looks good to me. Now, again, if you want to cook these down a little bit more, of course, you put a little bit more olive oil, maybe a little bit more butter. But that brownness you see here comes from the butter, okay? That's all it is. So I don't want you to get scared that you're burning it. No, butter does that to vegetables. Okay, it browns it. Okay, so it's just the butter. Okay, I'm gonna turn them off. Plates here, have the plate ready. All right. Who's hungry? I know I'm hungry.
I am.
Hey, look at that. All right. Now, here's the thing about Brussels. Now you're thinking, now that looked pretty plain and simple. Now, if you want to take the Brussels to the next level, you want to elevate your Brussels. I like cheese. So I brought some Parmesan cheese with me. Voila. I'm going to squeeze a little bit more lemon on here. All right. And there you go. Now, for those that like bacon or like pork, ham, you can actually do that as well for flavor. I've actually made it before with bacon. So I fried some bacon, and that extra, that bacon flavor, that bacon grease, I actually took the Brussels and put it in the pan and sauteed it with that bacon flavor. It is absolutely delicious. So that is an option as well. But for a healthier spin, you know, if you don't want to use bacon and all that other stuff, you just want a simple, healthy pan roasted Brussels, then here you go. Okay. I'm going to take a bite. Oh, these are soft. Okay. Okay. These are delicious. Okay. Again, I like mine al dente. So it's a little crunch and it's soft in the middle. That's how I like it. And cheese, again, it brings the Brussels to another level. So if you don't want to add cheese, it's okay. But it's very flavorful. And I like that lemon because it brings out brightness. So, does anybody have any questions? Any questions?
I'll tell you one comment we had. We had someone mention that they like to put like carrots and celery in there just to give it a little bit more color. And someone responded to that saying it helps their 3-year-old eat a little bit more because of the color.
Yes,
so really
that is a great idea. Yes. So you can always build flavors and build vegetables with the Brussels. Like, for example, like the person that just said they added carrots and stuff, perfect to bring out more color. I like mushrooms. I saute mushrooms with this. I've used carrots before as well. You can dice up some tomatoes. I've actually put corn in it. So you can be very creative with this dish. That's what I like about Brussels. It's very versatile and it complements a lot of vegetables with it. Also the seasoning. Again, if you like a little spice, you know, you can put some spices into it. You know, there's seasoning salt, there's cumin, there's thyme. If you want it like an Italian flavor, you can add oregano, you can add parsley, you can put fresh herbs in it. So again, I always tell people about taste is about your preference and your palate. So, but you guys know how to make Brussels. It's just not that thing that you just boil and you just eat it like that. A lot of people don't like it. I think that's why it was called the most hated vegetable in America. So hopefully by this dish right here that I just made for you guys, hopefully you guys will love that and you will pick up some Brussels and you can actually make this dish as a side dish for our upcoming holiday.
There's a good comment in here saying I've cooked them before and they've been really bitter.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yes. Okay. So let me tell you a reason why it can be bitter. One of the reasons why it can be bitter is because you overcooked it. Okay. So how you cook it means everything. Okay. So Brussels they start off a little bit bitter, but if you overcook them, it can be bitter as well. So that's why your flavoring, How you cook it means everything. I don't recommend boiling Brussels. I think that just you lose a lot of nutrients in boiling, and it's not very flavorful at all. It does taste a little bitter. But if you add lemon, that's a great thing that will take out that bitterness. Just add some lemon or add a little lime to it. It will get rid of the bitterness. Good question. Good. Any other questions? No? You guys are enjoying your Brussels, I hope. All right. So before we transition to our next recipe, Joe's going to talk about some healthy tips regarding tonight's recipe, pan roasted Brussels.
Well, that looks delicious. It smells delicious, and I can't wait to make me some. So the Brussels sprouts that Danica made here is a recipe that we're going to be putting onto a recipe card, and you'll be able to pick them up at your WIC clinics, or we'll actually be emailing you a copy as well. So you'll be getting a fresh copy of this Brussels sprout recipe. So if you weren't able to get it here, or you weren't able to follow along, hopefully you'll be able to later on, because it does smell really good, and I hope that I'll be able to try it a little later. So one thing that someone commented about was the bitterness in Brussels sprouts, which was something else that I had on just some information. So when you're selecting Brussels sprouts, you want to select very tightly packed leaved Brussels sprouts. Those are going to be your fresher Brussels sprouts. The ones that are a little bit looser or those are the little bit older ones. The older Brussels sprouts the more bitter tasting they'll be. So picking the freshest Brussels sprouts will also be beneficial for getting rid of that bitter taste. So just keep that in mind. Some interesting things about Brussels sprouts. So plants have something in them called phytonutrients, which are basically just the combination of all the vitamins and minerals that they have in them. And with Brussels sprouts, some of these phytonutrients can help prevent cancers. So that's a really great benefit of Brussels sprouts. Danica mentioned this earlier, that they are very high in fiber. So that's can be something to help you feel fuller longer. So during the holidays, I think one of our problems is we tend to eat too much. So if we add Brussels sprouts to our holiday recipes, you might feel fuller longer and still be able to enjoy some of those delicious recipes. Does anybody have any questions about Brussels sprouts at all? So I'd like to grade the recipe, and to help me here, I got my handy dandy My Plate. Brussels sprouts is obviously a vegetable, and on my plate here, you want to make half your plate vegetables. And I think this recipe, as it's made and for its servings, is going to be a great source of vegetables for you, and to meet one of the requirements to put on your plate. So I give this a grade A, a green light recipe that you can make all the time for your friends and family. If you're looking for it to be a little healthier, just cut a little bit of the butter out, but definitely to get the flavor, you want to add it in. So great recipe overall. If you guys have any questions, just let me know and I'll answer them for you. Otherwise, we're going to wait for... Oh, we do. Okay. We have a question. Just waiting for my helper to find it here.
Oh, Joanna, she can unmute herself.
All right, Joanna, you can unmute yourself now. Do you have a mic, Joanna? Oh, okay. Are you able to ask the question in the comments?
She said, just wondering if it makes the baby gassy.
So just like really any new thing you try, if you don't eat it a lot, your body takes a little bit of time to adjust. So Brussels sprouts do have that tendency because we really don't eat it that often. So any cabbage kind of fruit and or vegetable, because of that property, can make you a little bit gassy. But mostly it's because we really don't eat it that much, and everybody's body's a little bit different too. It just kind of depends on sometimes people's genetic makeup. In my family, everyone's a little gassy with Brussels sprouts, so you know it's just one of those things that you just, if you have it, you got to stay away from everybody. But no, but gassiness isn't harmfulness, so don't attribute that. So it's okay. It's a part of digestion. So I don't know if that helps answer your question. Some people are gassier than others with it, but it's kind of more of an adjustment thing. We just don't eat it a lot, and that fiber kind of attributes to that gassiness as well. Okay.
I don't think.
So the breastfeeding one is a really good question because some of those things those nutrients can go into the breast milk. I would have to look into that a little bit further. So maybe we can put that question in somewhere for us, and we can email you out an answer when I can further discuss this with my breastfeeding experts. Okay, so we're gonna do a 1-minute break. Danny has to do a little cleanup and switch some things out. So we'll be right back so we can finish and get started with the next recipe. So hang tight.
Hey guys, welcome back to our WIC cooking class. I hope you guys enjoyed our pan roasted Brussels. I'm sure you guys are ready for some sweets. You got that sweet tooth out there. Well, we're getting ready for apples. This is apple season, and we are making a apple oat skillet crisp. I have some apples here. Actually, I have Red Delicious and Gala apples. They're both sweet, and they're both they're very, very sweet, naturally sweet. But this is something that I learned about apples. Apples are made up of 86% water, 25% air. Think about that. So, you know, we always bobbing for apples. If anyone went to a carnival or something, they went bobbing for apples. That's why they float, because part of it is made of air. Isn't that pretty cool? So today we're doing that again. We're actually doing our apple oat skillet crisp here. I still have my pan, my cast iron skillet here, and we have our apples. We're going to go ahead and begin. Now, I have this really cool device here. This is called an apple slicer, and guess what? We will be talking about this a little bit later, but I'll go ahead and share a little bit right now. You will be able to get one of these, and we're going to tell you how at the end of class. All right. Let's go ahead and begin. So we have our apples here, as I shared earlier today. I have 2 sweet apples. I have Red Delicious and Gala. And what I'm going to do right now is just peel these apples. I have a really kid-friendly peeler here. So the cool thing about this recipe is that kids can participate as well. This is a family affair. Actually, all the recipes are a family affair. I know kids really like apples, so this is a great recipe to do with your children and your family. So right now I'm just going to peel this apple here. Now you might have a question. Now what if I don't want the apple peeled? Because, you know, as we're told, the nutrients are in the skin. That's why, you know, I've actually made this with and without the skin. So that's totally fine. You can keep the skin on if you want. But for this particular recipe right here, I'm actually going to just peel the skin. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how to use our apple slicer. So the apple stays flat. And this part right here, the center, is the core. The core of the peeler is going to match the core of the apple, which is the center. You're just going to lay it on the center. You're going to press down with all your might. I hope I can do this the first time. Sometimes I struggle with this. And there we go. And so you can just pick your slices out. How cool is that? See, back in the day, we just use our little knife and cut them. Now we don't do that. There's an apple slicer up there. So. All right. I'm going to actually, just for time, I'm going to do one more apple. Okay, I'm just gonna peel it real quick. This is a really quick and easy recipe once we get this going. But I just want to real quick, I'm just gonna peel one more here. Now there's no particular way to peel an apple. Some people like to do the ring, so they want to just peel it in a circular motion. Some people peel it up and down. No particular way. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna peel this to the side. I want to go back to my fancy apple slicer. Again, core. I'm gonna lay it flat on the center. I'm gonna press down. And there we go. Oh, these came out perfect. All right, there we go. So we have our apples cut here. Now, we're gonna go ahead and start with the oats, because now I have these done. And to make our oats crumble here, I call it oat crumble. You just need a few things. First, I already measured this out. This is a half a cup of brown sugar. And actually you need a cup and a half of oats. Now, quick oats, not the old-fashioned oats, because we want this to cook pretty quickly, okay? So we have that. I have some spice here. I have cinnamon. I'm just gonna put a little bit of cinnamon in here. I have some ginger. And I have apple pie spice. Now, this is really hard to find. This is a seasonal spice, but I like putting apple pie spice in here, okay? We're just gonna stir it. And we're gonna go ahead and turn on our induction burner here. I want to turn on our skillet here. Now this is when the olive oil comes in, okay? So all we're gonna do is put 1 tablespoon of olive oil in here in our cast iron. Now this is what we're gonna do. We're actually going to lightly cook, or just, I don't want to use the word cook. I take that back. Lightly brown the oats here, okay? That's what we're doing right now. Okay? And it only takes a few minutes to brown. And you really have to stir it, and you have to watch it carefully, because if not, they burn quickly, okay? That's why we have these quick oats in here, okay? Quick oats cook very quickly, like less than a couple minutes. So that's why we choose to use quick oats when we make this oat skillet. And I might need to, I'm going to add just a little bit more olive oil here, just more. I'll take this one. Because we want these, again, to brown. Yeah, it gets hot. I mean, seriously, quickly. It browns pretty quickly. So you want to keep stirring. You can see the steam. You can see it cooking because it's cooking. So you don't want these to, you have to stir, because if not, they burn easily. So you have to keep stirring. And you got to be patient with it, you know, that's important. Now, another thing you can do too, I know you can lay these on a baking sheet. Like once you put all your seasoning, your brown sugar and stuff, you can put them in a baking sheet and put them in the oven. 350 for about 5 to 7 minutes. But, I wanted to do this recipe on the stove because, again, I like 1 skillet dishes, 1 skillet desserts, and you really don't need the oven. So, but that's another option. You can put this in the oven. All right, I think we're good. And like I said, lightly brown or lightly toast. That's actually what we're doing here, okay? We're just lightly toasting the oats. So we got that. All right, so we got that in there. Now, here's the thing with the apples. I know we have our apples here. Now, if you want to leave them like this, that's fine. If you just want a quick slice, you can do that as well. If you just want to dice these, you can. Some people just like them sliced. That's fine. I'm going to do that real quick. And don't worry about them browning. I know browning happens because the oxygen hits it. If they brown, but don't worry, because once you add your stuff into it, your spices and everything, it's gonna be fine. So this particular recipe, see, it's right, it's cooking. Ooh. All right, we're adding our diced apples in here. Okay. And the thing about skillet apples, it doesn't take that long to cook. Again, just like the Brussels, about maybe 7, no more than 10 minutes. But if you want these cooked all the way down, it might take a little longer. But I like a little firmness in mine. Okay, not apples. Okay. This time is 1 tablespoon of butter. Add some vanilla in here. The vanilla and the butter actually makes this really cool sauce. It's really good. I'm going to add some flavoring of the cinnamon here. Again, like I said earlier, that taste is about palate and preference. You don't really have to be technical and measure it out. I like a lot of cinnamon. I like a lot of spice. So again, you just add how much you want. It's your preference. All right. And this is a great little recipe, a great little dessert. I know kids like apples, and this is another way to eat apples. You can just saute them. Look at the color. See, that color is from the spices and that vanilla. Okay. This smells absolutely wonderful. So we're getting ready to assemble our dish. Now, again, these are going to be These are gonna be a little firm. I like mine a little firm. If you want yours softer, you want the apples, especially if you have little ones, and maybe they have a tough time chewing, you need these to be a little soft, then you cook them some more, okay? All right. I'm gonna go ahead and assemble mine. Okay. And the cool thing about apples, they do soften really quickly because, like I was saying earlier, since apples are made up of air and water for the most part, they're gonna break down easily. Okay, that it makes them soft really quick because of those components in that apple. Right. So we're gonna go ahead and assemble. All right, I have a special topping for this. We have ice cream. Guess she thought, man, this is supposed to be healthy cooking class, and she has ice cream. Ooh. All right. Here you go. Look at this. Look at this. Amazing. All right, I'm gonna take a bite from the audience. Mm. That is delicious. Let me tell you something about this dish, which is really versatile, how this can be really versatile. Okay, now you see me put ice cream on it. However, for those that like breakfast, you can actually make an apple parfait. So you can take Greek yogurt, vanilla, your apples, and your oats, and you can make a really cool parfait with it. You can also use, if you like ice cream, whipped cream if you want to, or you just eat it as is. But it can be for a dessert or not. Okay, so this is a great dessert just for, for any occasion. This is really good. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, we're gonna go back to Joe again. He's gonna give you some healthy tips regarding that dish. Thank you.
I saw one comment come in that said it looks great, and it does, and it smells even better. And I bet if you're a chef, Danny, you would say even tastes even better than that. So yeah, what a great recipe. So a little bit about apples, because that's the main part of the recipe. They contain a lot of vitamins and minerals in them. Two that I really want to point out are vitamin A, which is a vitamin that can help your eyes. It doesn't mean that you're going to be Superman and then have supervision or anything, but just going to help your eyes perform at the best that they possibly can. So just eating foods that are high in vitamin A will really help just keep your vision as focused as it can be. Another vitamin is vitamin C, which is a vitamin that really kind of helps with the healing process, maybe when you're sick or when you do get injured. It can kind of help you throughout that healing process. Choosing apples, choose apples with very little bruising to no bruising at all. Those are going to be the best apples for you. There are some apples that are better for cooking than others. And Chef Danny gave you the Gala apples, and what was the other one? Red Delicious apples. So both of those are really good cooking apples, but most apples they're really good to snack on. A tip for storing apples or maybe keeping apples from browning, is to use some lemon juice or pineapple juice, maybe even some of the lemon juice you used in your Brussels sprouts recipe, and just putting that over your apples. That'll keep them from browning if you really want that perfect look that you're going for. But for me, it's about the taste, not always too much about the looks. As far as the recipe goes, overall, let's get out my plate here. You're going to be in the fruit category on your plate. So you're definitely going to be hitting one of the items that you need to have at each of your meals. So you're hitting that mark. As far as grading the recipe, if I was grading it specifically for nutritional content and health, you have all your vitamins and minerals from the apples. So I would say, this is a dessert, so you're not going to be eating it as part of your main course all the time. But as far as desserts go, I would say this is a very good recipe to have for desserts. And you also have oats in there. You have fiber in there. The only thing that would maybe bring it down a notch is some of the added sugars. But, when people look at dietitians and they talk to us, they might think that all we care about is just your health through food. But I think we're kind of wrongly looked at for that. If you talk to me or Lily or a lot of other dietitians, they're gonna look at the whole picture. And health isn't just about food; it's about mental health as well. It's about physical health, spiritual health. It's about combining all those things together. So if you're having something like Brussels sprouts, you're having a high quality meat in there. Throw something in there that's going to give you a little bit of joy. Bring in just a lot of great flavors for your taste buds. That sweetness does that for you. So if it's not really going to bring the bar up on health standards as far as nutrition, I think the mental health aspect is great to throw that in there. So include it in there. It's okay. We're not perfect. No one's perfect, and having that in there is just having that recipe on hand is just something that's going to really bring balance to the entire meal and to your entire health overall.